to the Red Couch. On the Red Couch today, I have two of my favorite people from New York, my nephew Adam and his lovely wife Natalia, Adam and Natalia Berger. They are world travelers and they've traveled all over the world and keep traveling, but somehow they seem to come back to Barbados. I think this is their second trip to Barbados in a very short space of time. So welcome to the Red Couch, Adam and Natalia.
Thank you.
Lovely to be here.
Yes.
All right, now, of course, I want to talk a little bit about ancestry because you're both American born. So let me start with the lady first of all. Yeah? So you have a very rich lineage. So tell me a little bit about your background in terms of your family structure and so on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So both my parents, originally not from the United States. My mother's Italian and my father's Jamaican. So I'm very close to Barbados. I'm very comfortable in Barbados. But yeah, they came to the United States. My mother's family came here in 1910 and built, a background and a life. And my father's family came here in came to the United States in 1973. And he came with all his brothers and sisters from Jamaica to start life. They made grounds in the Bronx in New York. My father ended up becoming a nurse practitioner. He's very much into healthcare. He wanted to give back. He always said growing up in Jamaica, watching that people didn't have access to healthcare was very upsetting to him. Every year he would go back to Jamaica to make sure that he brought products and medicine and things of that nature because he always wanted to be able to give back. But I'm both heritages are very much represented in my life, between the cooking and the food, and one side's heavy curry, the other side is heavy pasta. Adam makes fun of me all the time, but I grew up on pizza, right? My mother would on Sundays would always have pizza, and now in my adult life, he wants pizza all the time.
Not allowed.
And I don't eat pizza anymore. Maybe I'm carb conscious. I don't know, but he's always begging for pizza. But yeah, no, it was a very rich upbringing. I'm very proud of it because I was able to.
So tell me about the Italian side of your family. Did your mother still have family in Italy?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we actually my mother's side of the family. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the word for it, but they grew up kind of within the community. They're being street children, and so we're not really sure what those family members are.
Yeah.
But when they migrated over here, that's when real family started. My mother's never been back. We've been to Italy.
Your mom never went back?
Never went back.
No.
Never went back.
Even now, she has no desire.
No desire. My grandmother did when she was alive. She wanted to, but I think this was in the 80s, and she just things would come up into play, and she never got to it. But no, she never went.
And they never taught you Italian.
And they never taught me Italian.
Yeah.
So Italian. So growing up in New York, or growing up in the United States at the time, I'm a child of the late 70s, and it was kind of like a dirty thing to bring language other than speaking English. Now it's very welcome that we have second language or third language, but I wish that's the one thing I wish I could have had. This.
Well, you're young enough. You can still fix that. You can still fix that.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
Well, but I guess for an immigrant, the idea is that you don't want to stand out. You want to immerse yourself. You want to become part of the society and appear not to be an outsider, but really to be subsumed into the fabric of it.
Right.
And I guess that's where that would come in.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of also living in New York City in that day and age. There was also a lot of prejudice against certain groups of people. So if you ever go to New York, you'll see that there's areas of.
You mean when next I go to New York?
Yes, it's true. You've been up there.
Many.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
Yeah.
But there's Italian areas.
Yes.
There's Irish areas.
Yeah.
There's Hindu areas.
Yeah.
There's areas where pockets of people. Haiti.
Yeah.
There's Caribbean areas.
Asian areas.
People would tend to gravitate to where people who are, even though they may not know these people, the fact that we came from the same either ethnic group or from the same geographic area, we gravitate to be closer. We feel more at home
Absolutely.
within that environment.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's the same for his family as well. He grew up in a kind of Polish-Jewish neighborhood,
Yeah.
or Jewish rather, and that was a cluster of people.
As well, yeah.
New York is such a melting pot, but just,
You see it when you drive through parts. Suddenly you see, you're driving through an area and you see all the Hasidic Jews,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
so on and so forth. So Adam, tell me now about I know part of your family, but share with the audience now. So that's really a very rich and diverse ethnic, geographic, and cultural landscape that Natalia has painted. So tell us a little bit about your side now.
On the outside, everybody thinks, oh, there's some white guy from New York. My mom is your sister, lovely Michelle Berger. So I am half Bajan. And my father is Polish. He's a Polish Jew. We weren't raised as Jews, but we had respect for the holidays. We had respect for the Catholic holidays too. But I got a balance of cultures. There was the West Indian side, and then there was this Jewish side, which didn't always mesh. People on one side didn't love the other. But it gave me a better understanding of, why would I ever be prejudiced against people that look like my family? Why would I think of them any differently just based on a skin difference or a religion difference?
See, they wouldn't know that your great-grandmother was a black woman.
Absolutely.
From St. Lucia.
100%. So I'm part Lucian too.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, your father,
Yeah.
was Irish.
That's correct.
Great Ralph.
Yeah. So you see the diversity of cultures, ethnicities. It really makes a mockery of the whole racism thing, why people, and prejudices that people have. I want to talk though a little bit about your father's side. So I'm not sure how much you know about that Polish, that migration from Poland.
So they were, I think my great grandparents were the ones who were first generation to come to America, and they were ultra Orthodox. So they were Hasidic. I mean, when you saw pictures, they were full religion. My father would tell me he would go to his grandmother's house in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, it's one of the most Orthodox Jewish communities in New York, there in Borough Park. And his father, Wolf, that was his middle name, he decided this wasn't for him, and he left, which I believe was a very, very difficult choice. When you're in that group, it's very family oriented. You don't go outside of that Orthodox area. You only patronize stores that are for the Orthodox. You only do business with the Orthodox. And if you were sick and your kids needed to be cared of, somebody you might not know would show up to your house and take care of your children, or clean your house, or get you food.
I knew your grandmother, your paternal grandmother. I met her.
Oh, Grandma Anna.
She was a hoot.
She was an interesting woman.
So where was she from? Was she also
her lineage was the same. I don't know if she was from the Orthodox set, but she
Polish
was.
as well?
Yes, Polish as well. She used to tell us stories of how her parents escaped. I believe it was Poland, but maybe there was some Russia in there.
Did she speak a foreign language?
She spoke Yiddish, some Hebrew. Of course, I don't even.
Small kids growing up. Yeah.
I don't even know enough to get by.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the places you have been on too.
France, Nice. Yes, we were in Nice, and we also went to Normandy.
Beaches in Normandy. It was very moving.
Very moving experience. Just as an American because of World War II.
Storming the. Yeah, I mean, every time I've seen video footage of that, my heart, one part of me just bleeds with, aches for the people you know. But there's the other part of trying to position yourself where those people were.
Right.
You know that you are about to make the ultimate sacrifice possibly for the world.
Yeah.
You know.
And you kept going.
Today I'm going to possibly die in the pursuit of freedom.
Right.
And I'm going to storm these beaches, and many of us are not going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, that's quite a moving thought.
It was an important place for us to go.
Yeah.
As Americans, I think we took a lot of pride
And the rest
in going
of the
there.
world,
Of course.
we would all be speaking probably German today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
German and Japanese, probably, you know.
We thought it was very moving because when you get to that area of Normandy, everything is situated kind of in an American way. Things are there's actually nothing that's in French.
Everything's in English.
Everything is towards the American people, and you're just kind of like, wow, you weren't expecting that, and it's just so moving. People are just so lovely.
And then the cemetery.
The cemetery was such a moving experience.
It's
So that was important
That was
for us.
Normandy.
Yeah.
So all of these places you've been,
Yeah.
you mentioned some of them. You mentioned like Spain and
Yeah.
France and the UK and Amsterdam. But that's a whole other experience by itself. Been there myself.
We got
so-
culture while we
Yeah,
were there.
yeah.
we got in touch with the culture.
It's a I don't want to say bizarre, but it's a most unusual city in
It
many,
is.
many respects.
Yeah.
Well, they're not really uptight.
No.
No.
They're
Very
they have
laid
a
back.
Completely different approach to a lot of societal norms that we have in other parts of the
Yeah.
world. They treat with differently. Florence is my favorite city
Really?
in thing. I love Verona too.
Verona's
it's a
nice.
smaller thing, but it's so beautiful with the river running through the city there and so on. You know, Rome. How could you not love Rome?
Yeah.
And you know, there's so much history and culture and so on. You know, but what were the places in your travels that you went to that you really that stand out for you that you would want to go back to, and why?
Sure.
That I want both of you to answer that question.
I'd go back to Amsterdam, no problem. For obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, no, but we took, going to Amsterdam proper is one thing, but going to the suburbs is a different.
Really, really nice.
Really, really nice. The fishing villages. I mean, it was just really just beautiful.
There's a part of Amsterdam, right outside of Amsterdam, that you have to take a ferry to, and there's like breweries there, little restaurants, and it's very industrial looking area, and it just reminded me so much of downtown Brooklyn.
He likes Amsterdam a lot. I'm actually going to say Tuscany. Not one, the food is absolutely
Pasta was amazing. Amazing.
And living in New York City, you have a lot of Italian food. You're like, oh, I've had the best Italian food. It does not compare. I've never experienced food like that again in my life. But the people were just really, really lovely. Just very in touch with nature, in touch with what they're serving, how they want you to eat the food. You can feel the love even in the conversations that you're having with them. We went to an olive farm.
That was very nice.
Which was just so beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to say Tuscany.
Yeah, Tuscany is stunning. I have to agree. Okay.
I do have one more place. You're going to agree. Bimini. Bimini was just amazing. It just
Bahamas.
in the Bahamas.
Yes.
It just feels like it's not touched. It's got some commercial stuff, but not really. And it's just water that it's very similar to Barbados.
Yeah.
And again, Barbados is very special for both of us because we have our roots here, we have a family here. Barbados is a different place. We like to take the cruises. But because Barbados is so far over, you really have to leave from Puerto Rico to get a stop in Barbados. And I wish the cruise lines would expand this port more because there's so much to offer here. It's just as much value and beauty as a St. Martin or even the Bahamas, which is overly crowded with cruise ships. I mean, this here is paradise.
So let's talk a little bit about cruising. Barbados is a big cruise terminal, and I think the Minister of Tourism mentioned that we're going to have just under 400 cruise ship calls in the upcoming season. You know, and a lot of the cruises now originate out of Barbados. So
Wow.
people fly to Barbados,
Yes.
they get on the cruise ship, they go for 9 days, 10 days, whatever it is, and then they come back, and some leave immediately. So they have a special section at Ramsey Adams Airport. They don't go through the normal departure.
Oh, really?
They're checked from the port, and you go up to the airport, and you go through your own exit
Wow.
through security into a separate area. So
Nice.
it's a whole smooth transition. But a lot of people also stay on for a few days
Yes.
Afterwards.
So they do the cruise thing, and
Yeah.
then they come back and they spend some time here. So it's a one-shot deal. Fly to Barbados, jump on the cruise ship, and BTMI. Guys, I just did that for free for you. Don't you just love Capital Media, Shelley Williams? Of course you do. We love you too as well. Yeah. So, but to me, cruising, I don't know about you, but for me, cruising, you have to be with someone whose company you can enjoy. That's because I would hate to be on a ship and feel trapped.
Well, we love it. We've met so many friends that we've now had for years.
We cruise with the same people.
Yeah, and it's just a really great experience. You get to see something new every day, and you go to all these different islands. You see the culture. I always tell him before we sit down and line for the afternoon and have drinks and things, we have to get our culture in first. From that place, so that way we get a little piece of it.
And then we can go get drunk and fall asleep somewhere.
So tell me about now the Caribbean cruises that you've been on and the places you've been to in the Caribbean.
All right, a lot. St. Martin, St. Thomas, Antigua, of course Barbados,
St. Lucia.
the ABC Islands, Cayman Islands.
Puerto Rico count.
But Puerto Rico does count. It's at the top.
It's over there.
It still counts.
Belize.
Belize we've been to as well. Jamaica, also
Dominican Republic.
Mexico. We've been to many.
Very much
Honduras. Honduras as well. So yeah.
Oh, we've been around the block.
Yeah,
I
we've
mean,
been around the block. Yeah.
Touch a few that I haven't been to yet. Like,
Really?
like the DR. Haven't done the DR and haven't done Honduras. So yeah, you've done a couple.
and we're leaving the ship. And I remember I turned around and I see the ship off in the distance. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is what pirates did. You would leave the ship and go ashore. And I don't know, ever since then I've been in. I feel like a pirate making land ho, and then there's drinking.
You're a different kind of pirate because you're the pirate who's leaving money.
Right, that's true. That's true.
I get richly rewarded every island I go to.
That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
And I've been, I experienced that only in one place, and it was St. Martin. And that's before they built their Kitts. Was it? Oh, it was St. Kitts. It was St. Kitts. They hadn't built their terminal yet, and but they have now, and so on. But anyways, that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, never forget that.
Yeah.
Felt like a pirate.
So we look now to the future. You're both very young people still.
Thank you.
What is it that you're
He just turned 50, so you're making him feel good.
You are young. You're looking to the future and future travels. Traveling is obviously, I suspect, your number one adventure that
Absolutely.
you enjoy. Where do you now want to?
Well,
What is on that list that you're?
Oh, there's a
I
list.
suspect that list is getting longer
Yeah.
as time goes on. You're
So-
adding to it.
yes, absolutely.
You're not
So-
subtracting.
And we lost a little time with COVID.
And we lost some
Yeah,
time.
gotta make up.
Had some lost years.
Listen, it was tough. Those 3 years we were at home. We're like, what do? We can't go anywhere. And we wanted to come to Barbados. We couldn't come.
Couldn't come, couldn't do anything.
It was tough. But we have a really exciting trip set up in December of next year. We're actually going to be doing a transatlantic, leaving from Portugal, from Lisbon. We're going to be stopping in the Canary Islands. We're also going to be going to Morocco for 3 days. And then we're gonna go to Cape Verde, which I just found out because I'm doing my research. So Cape Verde has I'm looking at the pictures and different tours, and basically they have like this fish tour, and it highlights flying fish. And I'm like sitting there going, that makes sense because Cape Verde's here, Barbados is here. I can see why they both have the flying fish. I get it. So we're
Interesting,
gonna, yeah. So
I wonder if they know how to fillet the flying fish
that I don't know.
as we do.
Yeah, no.
It's probably not as tasty as.
Tobago has tons of flying fish. I suspect my Trini friends are going to want to hammer me for this, but I suspect the reason they have so much flying fish is that they really don't know how to fillet the flying fish. I've had flying fish in St. Lucia. I go like in Tobago, and I went like, well, where's the rest of the fish? You know, it's like half of it is missing. All right, because there's an art to filleting the flying fish and deboning it.
Yeah.
You know that Barbados has perfected. But anyhow, I digress.
Right? No.
It's okay,
You might be right there.
So this fish festival.
Yeah. So I was looking at that, and I was like, so we're gonna go to kind of a piece of Africa coming over, and then we're gonna stop in St. Martin, St. Thomas, and then they'll let us off in Puerto Rico. So that's exciting. And then right after that, we're going to Europe again. We'll be doing some Greece. Very excited about that. A little birdie told us about Istanbul. So
That's on the list.
Yeah, that's on the list now. So we're there. We'll be doing I think about.
He's the bird.
Yeah. So we'll be doing a 3-week tour in Europe right after that. Yeah,
awesome.
we also want to go to Sicily. That's like on my bucket list. So we'll be stopping in Sicily.
South Korea, not North Korea.
No.
Japan. we want to go to Tokyo.
We want to go to
Hawaii, which yes and no. We've had plans, and then things have changed.
Think, especially from the United States, that a lot of the people from the States want to go to Hawaii. Don't get me wrong, beautiful place, and actually just went through a terrible tragedy on Maui. But it's when you look at the Caribbean, you look at Hawaii, you go, well, why am I going over there when I got this right here?
Yeah.
And we're always,
the toss up there.
The toss up there. So we haven't made it there, but it's lower down on the list.
We've also talked about Antarctica too.
Yeah, we're interested.
That's interesting.
That should
Yeah.
But you have to do that in the summer.
In the summer.
Don't we have to fly into Venezuela?
You have to fly into Venezuela, and then you get on the ship, and then they'll go around the Horn, and So that's going to be like the big bucket list.
Well, I didn't hear you mention South America, but there's some fascinating countries in South America. You've done parts of Central America.
Yes.
But, for me, places like Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador with Machu Picchu, I'd certainly like to see that, and Chile and so on. Love to see that part of, it's so close to us, but yet we always look north. We don't really look south that much.
True.
But now there's a great connection with Copa Airlines through Panama, and you use Panama as a hub, and so you can get to all of those places. So I'm hoping over the next couple of years that we would get the opportunity to do some of those, and it's actually quite affordable. A Copa, that's another free ad for you. How about that?
We sat down at a Nice cafe. We were on a tour, and we were like, let's get coffee, right? We're here, let's get some coffee. We sat down. It was this giant cup of coffee. It was some of the best coffee I've ever had in my life, but compared to the American standard, which is nothing. It's like dirty water. Now I know that American coffee is dirty water. And don't believe what I'm saying. It's still coffee, but compared to
Dunkin' Donuts is okay, but it's separate. Separate.
And it was we sat there. We had a piece of baguette, and we were good to go. But it was nice.
So she used to work for the government of Fiji, and her ambassador used to turn around and say, American coffee's crap.
Right.
And she's like, what's this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even at McDonald's, the coffee was great.
Yes.
They got this fancy machine. Everybody waits there. You get a cup and a mug, and you sit. Right. It's fantastic.
Right.
So it's the little differences.
Yeah.
It's the little tiny differences from area to area, just to see, like that's McDonald's, but they have a bunch of different stuff I've never seen. And then sometimes you see how fortunate you are to live in the United States. People don't have, You know, and yeah, that you can make a living, but it's very tough, and some people can't make a living. You know, like we went to St. Lucia. I mean, it was like heartbreaking. Some people just don't have anything.
Right.
And you know, if I could give you something to make your life better, I would.
Right.
You know, so yes, we're very, very fortunate to have what we have.
Well, I think we can make people's lives better if we show empathy. I was always struck by the difference between how the British approach news and how America approaches news.
Yes.
This is not a criticism, it's a comment. Because some people in America may say, oh, he's criticizing America. Nonsense, it's not so at all, right? America has been a place that's been open to the world and is built on immigrants and so on. But when I watch, for example, my favorite newscast at night, which is World News with David Muir on ABC.
Yeah.
World News is really America's world news. Unless there's a big tragedy somewhere, it's all focused more on America.
Yes.
When I watch World News out of Britain, it truly is global.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And the other thing about Britain that always struck me was how, and maybe it's because they're a small country relative to the United States of America, big country relative to Barbados, but the many causes that they embrace, there's always some appeal, there's always some effort on to help some group, some people somewhere in Africa or in some other part of the world where there's tragedy or where there's suffering. There's a sense of humanity and reaching out to, and there's always these things that you can contribute to, whether it's, you know, save the children, world, you know, the animals, whatever. There's always something. And to me, that awakens me, you know, when I see that. So when you as Americans traveled out, you have seen, you know, you have a perspective that is more worldly.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's one of the fundamental benefits of travel.
You are only seeing the news from the American perspective when you're in the United States, and then we would go to these places. I'm like, but they're not showing us that over here. We're only seeing this because we're here. I'm like, wow. And then that actually, you know, we changed the programs that we watch.
Well, we never watched Fox News. You know,
What is that news?
that's made up stuff.
That's made up stuff.
You know.
But outside the political stuff, you know, the United States, you have CNN, and we do watch BBC too, because you do get that more global perspective, which is very important. That's one thing, and I agree with you, because that's the perspective that I got once I started traveling, to see things, those different areas. Like, wow, these are things that maybe my area, my culture, where I'm from, is not covering.
So I would never. No, let me rephrase that. I would not ordinarily have chosen to go to Turkey. It was not on my bucket list. But I have friends who are Turkish, and there was a wedding, and we were invited, and we went to Istanbul. Now, of course, I know it's the old city of Constantinople. I know it's, in a sense, the cradle of Christianity, and you know, and there are all so many things about Istanbul and about Turkey and so on. But I still, even as a media person, I was not prepared for the revelation that I saw. And as you said, I saw things that gave me a completely different perspective of Turkey. I had a vision of Turkey as being run by this strong man called Erdogan and so on, and that it may have been. It's a different view, and it was nothing like what I thought. The news media didn't say it directly. Finally, I want to ask both of you. So tell us a little bit about your work, Natalia. What do you do, and then Adam, your line of work too as well.
Sure.
And as an addendum to that, how the hell do you get all this leave? Because the perception of America is that you get very little leave. So, all right, so over to you for your...
So we get leave. We actually, most Americans get 4 weeks a year, but that's not the question.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not the perception.
Yeah, no, we get...
Perception is you get a week.
We get a pretty different.
Depends on what area you live in, you know.
So I am the Senior Vice President for Human Resources for a non-for-profit that supports people with disabilities. We service all of New York City. We have 35 sites there. It's really, it may not be so far to say it's God's work. I started working with people with disabilities when I was 19 years old. I loved it. It was something that became very passionate for me. When I went to college, I was going to be a forensic psychologist. So, you know, like the FBI tracers that you see on the TV shows, that's what I wanted to do. And then slowly I was like, oh, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to do something that's a little bit more caring. So my friend introduced me working with people with autism and Down syndrome and people with intellectual disabilities. I became a manager, said I liked this management stuff, didn't know about it. And then I realized I liked human resources and working with hiring people and working with pay rates and things of that nature, compensation. So I've been working with this company for about 2.5 years now. I've been in HR for about 15 years. It's something that I really enjoy and hope to do this until the end. We'll see how it goes. So.
Yeah. Adam?
She's a smart cookie. I'm a union employee. I work for Verizon. I'm a cable splicer. Basically, cable goes only so far. I'm the guy that connects it together. As a union employee, I've been there 25 years. I have 5 weeks vacation now.
We gotta highlight that. We do get the
5 weeks vacation.
Yeah.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
It does include sick time. The sick
I
time's
also
a whole
get
nother
sick time
pot.
too.
Yeah.
But I'm very fortunate to have what I have. My job gives us, freedom, and it's provided everything in our lives. I mean, our job as well. But I couldn't be happier with my career. Hopefully another 5 years and I'll have 30 years in and I'll retire.
I'll retire.
Oh, you can retire after you've got 50.
30.
Yeah.
30. I'm eligible now, but I wouldn't get my full pension.
I couldn't have.
So-
Eligible to retire?
Yeah.
No.
And I'm late. I mean, so I started working at the phone company when I was 25. And we have a formula. It's time entitled plus your age. If it equals 75, you can retire. But I know people that started when they were 17. They're gone already.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing.
Some of the, I don't know if he retired now, if we'd be able to travel as much as we have.
No, we wouldn't probably have the same
Right.
flexibility.
And I don't know if I'm prepared for him to be home all day, but that's okay.
You told me I need something to do.
Yeah, he needs something.
Get out there.
Yeah. But, we've been very fortunate. My parents and his parents are always about education, always about doing
Work ethic.
Work ethic. He and I are not afraid to work. There's days where I work, 12, 14-hour days. The one thing I will say that's true about the United States, a lot of people say, oh, you guys don't take lunches, right? Have you ever heard that? Americans don't take lunches. It's actually very true. We do not take lunch. We just kind of push through it and we grab a sandwich and do things at the same time. But
I don't take lunch now that I'm losing weight.
yeah, there you go. There you go. But no, it's we've had some really good careers, and we're still trucking towards.
Yeah. How many cruises do we have booked?
We have about 4 cruises booked for the next booked for the next 3 years.
Booked. She goes 3 years out.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
keep track.
Yeah, you just
I
show
just-
up.
You just show up with a suitcase.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Well, I think you've given anybody who's watched this session today would come to the realization that you really should take the opportunity whenever you can. I have a friend who, and he is not a CEO of any major company, but gosh, he has been all over the world because he just picks up and goes. Every time he sees a deal, he grabs it. His priority in life is experiences. He works hard, he saves his money, and every time he sees a deal somewhere, he goes for it. And he goes off to some of the most unusual places. And I said, well, why did you go there? He says, oh, well, why did you go to Egypt? Do you have nothing? He says, well, my name one of my names came out of Egypt, and I just wanted to see what this place was like, that sort of stuff and so on. But you know, it gives you a world perspective, and at the end of the day, if we are all better citizens of the world, hopefully the world will become a better place.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Truer words never said.
Well, continue to keep those suitcases packed and on the move, and thank you both for sharing your travel experiences and also looking at, you know, your whole ancestry and so on. I think if we all look at that, we realize that we all came from some other part of the world. Most of everybody in Barbados came from everybody in Barbados, because there's no original inhabitants. We all came from either Africa or parts of Europe or, you know, Ireland and so on, you know, or some other part of the world. And we've made our lives here, some by choice, but most not by choice.
That is true.
Because you were forced into slavery and brought to this part of the world.
Absolutely.
And yet today here is Barbados as a shining little example of a not too bad little country doing pretty good for itself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We love the Rock.
We love the Rock.
And the Rock loves you too as well. Thank you very much, Adam and Natalia Berger, for being my very special guest today here on the Red Couch and sharing the perspective of the world with our audience.